Welcome again for the next lecture of this series, Data Warehousing and Data Mining. So far we have discussed about what exactly is a data warehouse, what are its different properties, how a data warehouse is different from a database, okay, and what is the architecture of a data warehouse. So in this lecture we'll be discussing how to build a data warehouse. So in the last lecture also we have talked about this ETL process, that is extraction, transformation and loading. So first of all, what exactly is data extraction? So as we know, it is basically a data warehouse is basically a integrated uh, collection of data from the various sources. So we in this phase basically we get the data from multiple heterogeneous and external sources. So again, the sources may be files, the sources may be relational database, the sources may be web, the data may be entered manually, so on and so forth. In this phase we get the data, right? Then next step is the data cleaning, right? So there may be various issues with the data once we are getting the data from the multiple sources. So the data is known as basically a dirty data, right? So dirty data means the data may have noise, it may have outliers, right? Then there may be some missing values may be there, so we have to deal with that kind of data. So we have to detect each and every error in the data and try to rectify it. Then data transformation is required. So the data that we are having in the different sources, it may have different structure, right? It may have different naming conventions. So what we need to do, we need to get the data in the desired format. So we have to convert the data from the host format. Again, there may be multiple formats from the multiple sources, and we have to convert it into the warehouse format, that is a required format. Then once we have transformed the data, so then what we need to do, we need to sort, summarize, consolidate. Then we have to see for the different views what views we need to have. We have to check for the integrity of the data. We have to build different partitions in what way we want to represent the data. That all we will be doing in the this step, that is a loading step, right? And finally we'll be doing this refresh operation. So refresh operation is basically we are it may be possible, like once we have stored the data, it might need to be some sort of updates may be required, so we have to do those update uh, on the data, and then we have to fed the data to the data warehouse. Now there may be three different data warehouse models, right? So first one is enterprise warehouse. So in this basically we are having all the data that is related to a particular enterprise. So basically it is covering all the subjects, all the possible subjects, and the data is for the entire organization, right? Then we may have data marts also. So data marts, as we have already discussed, that is a kind of subset of the whole data, right? So we might need the different data. Let's say X set of users are there, then maybe other set of users is Y, other set of users is Z. What we basically we do, we create data mart for every specific group of users as per their requirements. So X may need a different kind of data around the different subject. Y may need different kind of data around the different subject, so on and so forth. So it is a subset of corporate wide data that is specifically required for the specific group of users. Now these data marts, again, they may be independent or they may be dependent. So there may be some sort of dependency between the different kind of data. In that case, dependent data mart would be there. And if there is no dependency, then obviously independent data marts would be there. Then there is a concept of virtual warehouse. So virtual warehouse is something like where we are exactly not having the data warehouse, but we are creating some sort of views over the operational databases only. right? So we are doing nothing. Basically, we are having the databases, day-to-day databases, and we are creating some sort of views, specific views for the analysis purpose over those databases. So that we are calling as virtual warehouse. Then last thing is once we are having this data in the data warehouse, so this metadata is very important. So uh, what kind of data we are storing in the data warehouse? All the information about that has to be stored in the metadata repository. So it is basically the metadata repository is having all the information about the data warehouse, each and everything. So it may start from the schema, right? What kind of schema we are maintaining for the data in the data warehouse, what are the different views, dimensions, what are the different hierarchies, derived data definition, where the data marts are located, what are the specific dimensions around which we have built those data marts, right? What is the history of migrated data, from where we have got the data, from how much time the data is being stored, what is the, so all these things, or each and every information uh, about the data that is stored in the data warehouse, we are having in metadata repository. What are the algorithms we are using for different, like how we have done the data cleaning part, how we are transforming the data, how we are summarizing it, right? How we are how we have mapped the data from the operational, like from the databases to the data warehouse, how we are doing the mapping, so each and everything, how we are measuring the performance, what are the different performance measures, different performance metrics, right? Who's the about the ownership of the data, policies, each and everything about the data in the data warehouse is actually stored in the metadata repository. And we need to maintain this, we need to time to time we need to update this metadata repository also, because once we are doing the refresh operation on the data warehouses, so there will be updation in the metadata repository also, that has to be done parallelly. So this is how we build our data warehouse. In the next lecture, we'll see how we will be storing the data by using the multidimensional models, and what will be the different kind of representation that we will be requiring in the data warehouse. Thank you.